Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents How the West Really Lost God, A New Theory of Secularization, by Mary Eberstadt, narrated by Nan Mcnamara. How could we drink up the sea? Who gave us the sponge to wipe away the entire horizon? Friedrich Nietzsche, The Parable of the Madman, The Gay Science, 1882. It is in my lifetime that the people have forsaken formal Christian religion, and the churches have entered seemingly terminal decline. It matters that we understand why. Callum G. Brown, The Death of Christian Britain, 2001. Introduction. Most books have their origin in some kind of enduring mental distraction that has grown so large and ungainly in the author's mind that only hammering it out at book length will fully exercise the thing. The volume you are listening to right now or holding in your hands is no exception. The particular puzzle that started this effort happens to be, at least to some people, one of the most interesting questions in all the modern world. It is this: how and why has Christianity really come to decline in important parts of the West? Note that use of the word really, which is also in the book's title. In some contexts, it is a freighted term suggesting that a nefarious plot is afoot to conceal the truth about something or another. But such is not its meaning here. In choosing that qualifier, really, I do not mean to question the good intentions of other curious armchair theorists pushing around the pieces of this same puzzle during the past 125 years or so. Quite the contrary. The list of scholars and other thinkers who have prophesied, studied, decried, celebrated, and otherwise sought to explain what they saw as the decline of Western Christianity is a monumentally long and impressive one, in part a roll call of the greatest minds of modernity, including Karl Marx and Charles Darwin, Auguste Comte and Sigmund Freud, Émile Durkheim and Max Weber, and many more. Also running in that distinguished pack, of course, is the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, whose parable of the madman in the marketplace foretelling the death of God remains the paradigm through which many sophisticated people understand secularization right down to this day. Far from ignoring them, I hope in this book to do some brief justice to preceding attempts to explain what really happened to the sea of faith, as the Victorian poet Matthew Arnold immortally dubbed the Christianity of yesteryear. Once, he wrote, that sea was swollen and full, but today it has retreated far and seemingly permanently from the high water mark. Some time back, the great majority of people living in what can still broadly be called Western civilization believed in certain things. God created the world. He has a plan for humanity. He promises everlasting life to those who live by his word, and other items of faith that Judeo-Christianity bequeathed to the world. Today, especially though not only in Western Europe, no great majority continues to believe in all such particulars. To judge by the evidence of one's senses, including extensive survey data, both belief and practice are diminishing among Christian populations in almost every European country, and not only in Europe. The percentage of people who claim no faith at all has also risen steadily in the United States. Religious stories and music and rituals honed for millennia, studied generation after generation by believers both literate and illiterate, have become for many modern people of the West artifacts as remote as the cave paintings of Lascaux, of some enduring aesthetic and historical interest to be sure, but having no more bearing on the present day than Paleolithic art. What happened? Why was belief in the Christian God and his churchly doings apparently taken for granted by most Europeans, say 600 years ago, whereas today, merely alluding to the possibility of the existence of that same God is now guaranteed to provoke uneasy dissent in some sophisticated quarters and savage ridicule in others? How much did the Enlightenment and rationalism and scientific thinking have to do with this enormous transformation, this sea change from a civilization that widely fears God to one that now often jeers him? How much did various historical influences figure into this reshaping of our shared civilization? Factors like technology, the world wars, politics, church scandals, the changing social status of women, and more. These and other large questions will be considered later, including, at the outset, the radical question raised by some scholars, which is whether Western Christianity has even declined in the first place. It is the contention of this book that just about everyone working on this great puzzle has come up with some piece of the truth. And yet, that one particular piece needed to hold the others together still has gone missing. Urbanization, industrialization, belief and disbelief, technology, shrinking population. Yes, yes, and yes to all those factors, statistically and otherwise correlated with secularization. Yet even taking them all into account, the picture remains incomplete, as Chapter 2 goes to show. It is as if the modern mind has lined up all the different pieces on the collective table, only to press them together in a way that looks whole from a distance, but still leaves something critical out. This book is an attempt to supply that missing piece. It moves the human family from the periphery to the center of this debate over how and why Christianity exercises less influence over Western minds and hearts today than it did in the past. Its purpose is to offer an alternative account of what Nietzsche's madman really saw in what he called the tombs, meaning the churches and cathedrals of Europe. Its argument, in brief, is that the Western record suggests that family decline is not merely a consequence of religious decline, as conventional thinking has understood that relationship. It also is plausible, and I will argue appears to be true, that family decline in turn helps to power religious decline. And if this way of augmenting the conventional explanation for the collapse of Christian faith in Europe is correct, then certain things, including some radical things, follow from it, as we shall see. The argument is presented in 3 parts. The first section gives an overview of the present intellectual scene, including the conventional explanations for secularization and the various problems with those explanations as they stand, chapters 1 and 2. In other words, those chapters amount to a brief about why our current understanding of secularization is insufficient. The second part of the book puts forth evidence for an alternative theory of what has happened, chapters 3 through 7. It argues that A, the alternative theory is consistent with the historical fact that family decline and Christian decline have gone hand in hand, and B, that the alternative theory has the added attraction of solving certain problems that the existing theories cannot solve. Chapter 7 concerns broad matters of religious anthropology. It asks and attempts to answer why this theory works. That is, just what the mechanisms might be that make family and faith so intricately bound together. The concluding chapters change gears once more and take on the practical question of why anyone should care about the exact mechanism of secularization in the first place, including speculation about what this new theory might suggest about the future of both Western Christianity and the Western family. The conclusion makes the case that, contrary to what many seem to think, everyone has a dog of one kind or another in the fight over secularization, ardent secularists and pious churchgoers alike. Let us begin by stepping back for a moment and putting these 2 essential pieces of the puzzle side by side, in part simply to introduce them and to contemplate their enormity. The decline of Christianity in parts of the advanced West on the one side, and the decline of the natural family, meaning the family built on irreducible biological ties, on the other. The dramatic decay of Christian belief and practice, notably though not only in Western Europe, is by now both familiar and much remarked upon, so much so that it has even become common intellectual practice to refer to parts of the continent as post-Christian. As the data from the European Values Survey go to show, people across Europe go to church less, believe in the Christian creed less, and believe in God Himself less than they did even 18 years ago. In addition to being
Sample complete. Ready to continue?